Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News Weekend. Robert Pickton is dead. The 74-year-old BC serial killer was involved in what was described as a major assault on May 19th when he was attacked by another inmate. He remained in critical condition in hospital until Friday, May 31st, when his death was confirmed. You can find much more on the story on our website, aptnnews.ca. It has been 3 years since 215 anomalies were discovered at a former residential school in Kamloops, British Columbia. APTN's Tina House takes a look back at what's happened since that discovery.
On May 27, 2021, Kamloops announced they had discovered 215 anomalies suspected to be unmarked graves. That news shocked the world, and this impromptu memorial was started outside of the former Kamloops Indian residential school. Visitors from around the world descended upon Kamloops to come pay their respects. Many of them also residential school survivors who had their own horrific tales of how they barely survived. In June of 2021, we met up with the late Stanley Paul Sr. In 1957, he was forced to attend the residential school in Kamloops. For Stanley, he along with thousands of others who were forced to attend these houses of horror, the physical, mental, and sexual abuse they endured has left deep imprints of trauma that has never really healed, despite the years that have gone by.
Were you surprised when you heard the news about the discovery here?
I knew this long time. I knew this long. I know that way back. I know what it is.
Did you think you had maybe some friends that were part of the ones that were found?
Yeah, right over here, by the school over here. There's a couple of girls over here. I know, and I knew them. My nieces, my cousins, died over here, and that's where they used to have them apples right over here a long time ago. I remember that.
Grand Chief Stuart Phillips says what happened in Kamloops inspired other nations from across Canada to start their own searches.
We went from the discovery of 215 unmarked graves at the former Kamloops Indian residential school site to thousands of unmarked graves right across the country. And that continues. At this point in time, more and more First Nations are organizing themselves to investigate the sites where there are residential schools in their territories.
And for Kamloops it's been 3 years since the discovery, and they released this statement. While the number 215 has become a symbol of the children lost at the Kamloops Indian Residential School, it's important to recognize that it represents far more than a numerical figure. It stands for the countless spirits of children who never had the chance to return home from residential schools from all across Canada. Grand Chief says there is much more work to be done.
I'm proud of the resilience of our people, that in spite of this horrific genocidal reality, First Nations people across this country are continuing to progress.
Kamloops have yet to release further details about when excavation will take place to identify the anomalies discovered. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
A mother in Manitoba is speaking out about a disturbing encounter with the Winnipeg Police Service captured on home security camera. The content you are about to see may be distressing to some viewers. APTN's Sierra Bettens has more.
On May 21st, the day of her birthday, Charity Tom awoke at 4 a.m. to an unexpected banging on her door. It was the Winnipeg Police Service. They said they received multiple calls about an unsupervised 2-year-old child running around outside her house. Tom told officers they had the wrong address and that her kids were inside sleeping. Minutes later, the police knocked again. This time, they came in.
Come in, okay? It's not this house! It is. Okay.
Oh my God!
It is.
What are you doing?
Home security footage obtained by APTN News shows an obviously upset Tom asking for a badge number.
I asked the other cops, I was like, did you guys see that? You could hear it on the camera, and by then the other guy was like twisted my arm and held me down. And I was trying to stand up and they wouldn't let me. They were saying that I was tensing up or something. Yet I just wanted to stand up.
As officers searched her house, Tom insisted it wasn't her child they were looking for.
What's that badge number?
Shut up.
Go on! Sergi!
You want to get that up?
I just told you!
So then stop acting like a
You!
Okay? Stop here. I'm going to bring the drunk
I'm not doing anything!
Stay here!
I'm trying to stand up!
Despite being threatened with a drunk tank, Tom says she was sober the whole time. The video ends with an officer asking Tom, quote, "Do you want to get arrested or not?" unquote.
Do you want to get arrested or not?
In an email sent to APTN News, Winnipeg police confirmed that officers answered a call about an unsupervised 2-year-old child at 4 a.m. on May 21st, and quote, "Attending officers verified the well-being of the child despite an uncooperative caregiver," unquote. Tom has 3 kids. The older ones are 18 and 15. The third, her youngest, is 7. For now, Tom says she's too afraid of the police to report the incident. She believes this was a case of racial profiling and wants an apology. The Winnipeg Police Service say no charges were laid, but would not provide further information on the incident to, in their words, protect the child's identity. Sierra Buttons, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
A new patrol group is hitting the streets of Winnipeg next month. It's formed by the family of a First Nations woman who was murdered by a Winnipeg serial killer in 2022. They hope to use their experience to prevent more tragedies like this in the future. Sab Jonesa has that story.
Family members of Morgan Harris are taking things into their own hands.
It's time for us to turn our grief into action.
Morgan Harris is one of 4 women a Winnipeg serial killer has admitted to murdering. And as Jeremy Skibicki's trial for their deaths continues, her cousin and daughter are hoping to keep other unhoused Indigenous women safe.
When I look at things as a whole, over the last few weeks from the trial, and hearing of some of the things that my cousin had to endure, like being thrown out of a shelter 1:50 in the morning, when she was missing, who was really out there doing that footwork. We want to be able to, as a group, assist other families in helping their loved ones, whether that be through, looking into shelter space for them, maybe treatment if they're battling addiction. So just some of those different areas.
Morgan's Warriors is a new patrol group hitting the streets of Winnipeg. Melissa Robinson has years of experience under her belt through her time with the Bear Clan Patrol, but she says Morgan's Warriors will have less red tape and restrictions.
This type of work is a 24/7 type job. This for us is about our women. This isn't a photo op for us. To get out there, walk for a couple of hours, take some pictures, hand out some food, and call it a day. Our work with this will never stop.
Harris's youngest daughter, Elle, says she hopes to lead the walks one day.
When I go out there and I see all these people sitting there and they have nowhere to go, and I have a home to go. I have money that I could be putting back into the community. I have the mental capacity to be doing so to help these people heal, and so many others do.
They hope to begin patrols next month without the help of Winnipeg Police.
We obviously do not have the best relationship with the Winnipeg Police, nor do we have faith or trust in them. They failed my cousin already, and they failed many other women. So do we want to have that part of them being associated with us? No. I'm sure we can figure out things on our own.
Harris adds that the community they want to help doesn't trust the police either.
They know we're going in there just to look for a person or just to pick up the used needles on the ground. They know they can trust us. Otherwise, if we had the police with us, they would not go near the door. They would not go near us. They would walk away.
Robinson says Morgan's Warriors are eternally grateful for any support they receive and to join their Facebook page for updates. Sav Jonesa, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Almost 1/4 of people living in Betchico, Northwest Territories, rely on income assistance. And when someone is denied that lifeline, it hits hard. We'll bring you that story after the break. Welcome back. On Tuesday, an NDP member of the Provincial Parliament of Ontario made history by speaking his Indigenous language in the province's legislature. It's the first time a language other than English or French has been officially allowed.
Seeking the unanimous consent of the House to allow him to speak for 10 minutes regarding the historic significance of recognizing Indigenous languages in the legislature. Agreed? Agreed.
With unanimous approval from his fellow politicians, followed by resounding applause, Sol Mamakwa from the Kingfisher Lake First Nation addressed the Assembly in N.W.T, or OG Cree, for the first time since he was elected 6 years ago. It's a language that the NDP MPP is fluent in, despite being punished for speaking it in residential school. In attendance for this historical moment was his mother, who is also celebrating her 79th birthday. He credited her with teaching him OG Cree and encouraged others to revitalize their First Nations languages. Mamakwa hopes this starts a trend in legislatures across Canada.
In time past, we were told never to speak our own Indigenous language in the provincial legislature. We had a leader named Frank Birdie from Muskrat Dam that was told that they will never permit Indigenous language to be spoken in the provincial legislature. But today, it's allowed. It's a historical event. I'm praying that there's permission for our language to be spoken in the legislature, that other legislatures in Canada, governments, will allow the same process that we are doing here today. In Ottawa also, that are sitting in the Ottawa legislatures today too, will follow suit with this historic event of the Indigenous language being permitted to be spoken in this provincial legislature.
For those living with a permanent disability in the Northwest Territories, accessing income assistance can be an extra burden. Our reporter Charlotte Moore-Jacobs explains how miscommunication and a complex bureaucracy has left one family to go without.
Almost 1/4 of people living in Betchico, Northwest Territories rely on income assistance. And when someone is denied that lifeline, it hits hard. Chris Dryneck, a Klitcho Dene, has been blind since birth, relying solely on income assistance for over 3 decades. But for the last month, his family has gone without.
I can't go out and get a job and work for my wife and my daughter. I can't go hunting for my wife and daughter. I can't do anything. I am blind. I don't have education. And income support cut me off. I still don't know why.
His wife Sharon faces employment challenges. She cannot read or write, and their 12-year-old daughter also lives with a disability. Along with this empty fridge, they've been forced to cancel medical appointments, unable to cover travel costs. Dryneck says the N.W.T Income Assistance Office in Yellowknife is investigating his 2023 CRA Notice of Assessment. After his wife worked as a janitor a handful of times, his options: produce paperwork to Yellowknife Income Assistance or be cut off.
We can't get it from here. It's got to be done from Yellowknife. So we have to hire somebody to take us to Yellowknife and back here and to get those documents. And we pay $200 every time we take a trip to Yellowknife. And we don't have that kind of money. This income support is our lifeline. This income support, we need it, we depend on it. My wife works here and there. We get $1,200 every month.
3,000 N.W.T residents are on income assistance, mostly long-term. Manager of Income Security Programs, Sarah Madsen, says paperwork isn't in plain language and can be cumbersome. Last year, only 19 clients appealed denial decisions.
Client navigators do let people know that they can appeal. I think there's fear on both ends for both the client navigator and the individual about appealing. It is definitely a process that's worth following through with. Being on this side of things, when I was a client navigator, I was terrified of an appeal. But on this end of things, it's a good opportunity for us to take a look at our policies.
Manager of N.W.T. Disabilities Council, Janelle Joseph, says often clients didn't realize when signing paperwork that income assistance has the authorization to contact CRA, collect their tax return, and scan their bank accounts. She says client navigators aren't always knowledgeable of exemptions disabled residents are eligible for, like waiving the cost of ambulances and general identification cards.
A lot of our clients, we're a disability organization, they have disability. It could be physical or cognitive, so they're very concrete usually. So if you tell me I'm denied, I don't qualify, I think I never qualify for it, so I don't want to apply again. I don't know I can appeal the decision. There's no navigators at Income Assistance to help people like appeal or let them know what the next steps are. They don't have that.
On the refusal form, there's no spot to even outline why a client has been denied income assistance. In theory, everyone is permitted an advocate. In practice, Dryneck says his hasn't been allowed on any phone call meetings to start the appeal process.
When we got kicked out of income support office last week, we got home, me and my wife, we both had tears because we were treated that way. Yeah. And a minute later, our phone rings from income support. She said, "Chris, come back." I said, "Why?" "My manager wants to talk to you and your wife alone."
The territorial government acknowledges the system isn't perfect. That's why this summer they're changing it, so residents with a permanent disability and seniors won't have to apply every month for support. Instead, they will only have to apply annually, and if they qualify, get support for 1 year. But for Dryneck's family, that shift won't come soon enough. So in the interim, they'll try to sell what little electronics they have and wait 60 days until they can apply again. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Bechecal.
Well, it's graduation season, and we'll take you to one in Montreal after the break. Welcome back. It was a joyous occasion at John Abbott Junior College in Montreal last week, where 15 Cree students celebrated completing a transition program that will prepare them for the next chapter of their academic journey. Maricela Amador was there and has more.
This is John Abbott's ESQIO program, class of 2024.
Get ready, y'all.
Just moments before, Christina Pachano and her classmates excitedly prepare for a memorable experience.
No, I'm anxious. I want to get it over with now. It's really hot over here. I'm not used to the weather.
Congratulations to all of you.
Pachano is 23 years old. She says the one-year virtual transition program gave her the confidence to pursue higher education. The best part? She got to stay with her family in her community of Chisasibi.
It gave me more options, actually. And back in Sesame, when I was in high school, we just learned what was in the curriculum. For this program, the teachers asked us what we wanted to learn.
I would like to thank John Abbott College and the Cree School Board for creating this program.
The special program was created through a collaboration between the Cree School Board and John Abbott Junior College in Montreal. This year's cohort is the third and largest to date.
It isn't easy to take that step into post-secondary education.
Kim Martin from Ganawage is the Dean of Indigenous Education at John Abbott.
I think it does help because it offers this opportunity for students to get a little bit more familiar and comfortable with the pace of college learning and assignments and deadlines and things like that. And this is something that brings a lot of stress sometimes to students. And so we work to help them overcome those issues.
The Springboard program was developed specifically for Cree students through consultation with Cree elders, educators, and experts. The courses are rooted in Cree values and worldview.
You are such a shining example of what our future has in store for us.
Dr. Sarah Pash is the chairperson of the Cree School Board.
Oh, this program is definitely successful. You know, we see high numbers of graduations from this program. We also have noticed a difference in our post-secondary students, in the feedback that we're getting from them, those post-secondary students that have left the community.
This young woman is thrilled to be starting a new chapter in her life.
First, I'm planning on working just to save up some more money, but then I'm planning on going to a heritage. Actually, I still haven't decided yet.
Although she is still unsure what the future holds, Pachano says she enjoys working with kids. Maricela Amador, APTN National News, Montreal.
Congrats to the grads. Indigenous History Month is underway, and that marks the start of a new project on APTN News Online. Each day will feature a poem from a First Nation, Inuk, or Métis poet online and TV. We're starting off the month with a poem from Connor LaFortune. Connor is from Doki's First Nation in the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory in northeastern Ontario. He works primarily in life promotion, harm reduction, mental health, and Indigenous education. Here he is with his poem, Survival.
The day the earth broke open. Our braids untangled, our bodies shut down, cut down the trees, they said. We can sell all the lumber, we were not afforded the luxury of crumbling. We rebraided our hair, pinned it down tight this time, they could no longer undo it. Cut down their power. Put them into bite-sized pieces, we can sell them in parts. The day the earth broke open, we put away our comfort foods and never found them again, cut down each strand. We can sell their stories, we were careful and loud, letting only the earth reverb our sadness. We built whole lakes with our tears, we never made a sound. The day the earth broke open, my auntie put away her flare. She placed it in a box, titled it Survival. She placed herself in that box too, said, open me when it's safe. It was never safe, and we opened it anyway. And when we did, it smelt of home, of the burnt taste, fire leaves on your clothes. It was safety, a blanket sheltering us from the cold, the soothing sensation of a cup of cedar tea on winter's day. It was big, bigger than the weight it carried. Whole nations gathered to hear the crackle in her voice. It was black and burnt and smoky. Hints of maroon filled the air, the sweetest candy I've ever tasted. Sage and tobacco, sweetgrass and cedar dancing in the darkness of her flame. And we danced too, found ourselves singing, placed it back into that box, said, open me when you want to find home, titled it Knowledge, and never closed it again.
Awesome stuff, Connor. Thanks for that. You can find more of these over on our website, aptnnews.ca, on our social media, and tune in to the newscasts. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this weekend. But for news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward, Marcy McGuitch. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.